Welcome to the third episode of our podcast, Beyond the Boundaries. Today, we are thrilled to have Gerhard Erasmus, the captain of the Namibian men's cricket team, joining us. Gerhard has recently been named the ICC Men's Associate Cricketer of the Year for 2024, recognizing his outstanding performance and contribution to Namibian cricket. He can bat, he can bowl, and he can also wicket keep while leading his team. Let's dive into a conversation with this exceptional all-rounder. Gerhard, welcome to the show, and congratulations on your recent accolade as the ICC Men's Associate Cricketer of the Year for 2024. How does it feel to receive this recognition?
Shravani, thanks for hosting me. It's obviously been a great year in 2024 for myself personally. As a captain of the team, you want those performances to hopefully translate into wins for the team. I would have hoped that we could win a little bit more in 2024, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Hopefully, I can in the next coming year, contribute to more of the team successes but all the same, it's great to get accolades for hard work.
And how are you today? How's your day going so far?
It's been interesting. It's not a lot of rain in Namibia, but we had the first game between Canada and Netherlands in the ongoing tri series here in Namibia got rained off today. So as a local and someone that also farms a bit, we need that rain. But as a cricketer, you don't like seeing games rained out.
The weather in New York has been pretty gloomy today too. So let's dive into the conversation. I want to know how your journey in cricket started. When did you first start playing cricket and what inspired you to pursue this sport professionally?
Basically, I've been in cricket for like most of my life, since I could remember. Since the age of about 5 or 6, I joined my father, who was a manager at the Cricket Namibia's team when they just, got a lot of amateur cricketers together and formed a bit of a formidable side to try and qualify for the 2003 World Cup. And they ended up doing that in Canada in 2001. And I just stuck around like most of those players at the ground and asked them to throw me balls. Just as a little young kid of 5 years, that's sort of my first memories of cricket and where I got inspired to play. And when they did qualify for that World Cup, it was such a big moment. I couldn't really read or write yet, but at 2003 World Cup at the age of 8, I could already get into the other team's players and like name them off by heart. So the cricket bug bit me quite early.
Wow, so it all started because your dad was involved in Cricket Namibia and that's how you got into it. So it runs in the family basically for you.
Yeah, it does. And so does sport. My dad also did a bit of rugby, and I played rugby until quite a later age, and a bit of field hockey until a later age. So yeah, sport is a big thing in our culture when we grow up here, but cricket necessarily isn't Namibia's number one sport. So that is probably one of the challenges through the years for me to grow up in a country that doesn't really have, mass amounts of fields and cricketers all around you that tend to have the same passion. But it's changed over the last couple of years since the national team has done really well. It's awesome to see.
The Namibian cricket team has just been soaring and breaking records. So you made your international debut at just 16 years old, becoming the youngest player in Namibia's history. So how did that early exposure to international cricket shape your career so far?
I think largely it must be a positive influence. You got exposed to basically men's cricket at a very, very young age, and men's tactics, the mindsets are a lot stronger. See, playing against older guys, lots of them can be quite rough. They can be quite verbal, and that makes you mentally tough from a young age. I wouldn't necessarily say at the age of 16 or 17 that your skill set is quite ready then to take on professional or the highest level of cricket, because you need so much time in cricket to hone your skill set. But all the same, I think the experiences that I got from a young age of 16, at least just being mental experiences and mental fortitude, has carried me a long way in my career.
So you got to learn a lot from the senior players as you were coming up the ranks in Namibian cricket.
Yeah, most definitely. I think at least in terms of, tactical side, and also in terms of a little bit of leadership skill and stuff, just to be a little bit beyond your years. I think that helps quite a lot. And later on, I was named Namibia's captain at quite a young age. So I think cricketers that are exposed to the higher level at a younger age, where maybe they're not supposed to be there yet in terms of their skill, but the exposure puts them one step ahead. And I think that's paid some fruits for Cricket Namibia over the last couple of years, because we had many players through the years of 2013 to 2016, 2017 playing in South Africa's first class competition in their B League, as you can call it, and lots of those experiences um, held all our cricketers that are now in the national setup, the JJ Smith, Stephen Barr, myself, Jan Freiling, all those guys that formed the core of the last 5 years of the team. We got most of our cricket at a young age and in the South African professional competition at a young age. So yeah, that's the way that we grew up to be one step ahead of the other youngsters at our age. And it's a great that's the type of thing that you need to thank maybe the previous generation or the previous sort of board, Cricket Namibia's previous board, the previous administration. You have to thank them for those exposures and those investments they made 10 years ago or so. And we're now bearing lots of those fruits in Cricket Namibia years on.
Absolutely. And we in iCaptain Media totally believe that we have to nurture and promote grassroots level cricket, because the more exposure you get at a young age, the more you improve your skills and the more prepared you are to jump up the ranks. And that's exactly what happened with you. And I want to talk about your captaincy for Namibia. You were very young when you started captaining your own country. So how do you describe your captaincy style, and how do you approach motivating your teammates?
I think my captaincy style is probably like a little bit of a mixed bag of everything. I tend to have looked a lot at, probably the guys like a Virat Kohli who try to captain a little bit more by example, by energy, by the intent they have on the game, their ruthless nature on the field, just the way they move. Everyone knows that Virat is going to be a cover and he's going to be aggressive, and that's kind of the style I thought I'd follow in my first couple of years of captaining the team, and I really wanted to play an aggressive brand of cricket, and we did that quite well. I think we scraped a lot of wins that we weren't supposed to win, just by, being mentally very tough and strong. So very proud of having gotten a little bit of that tag as a captain over the years. But at the same time, I think my main asset as a captain is probably a little bit more on the tactical side. I've forever absolutely been in love with cricket and loved, reading, watching every clip. I spend too much time on my cell phone and on the social medias trying to gather new information, watching videos on techniques, tactics, all the sort of nerdy stuff of cricket. There's not many of us in the team that is so intensely focused on cricket, but I just seem to love it from a young age, and I did it all through my university years. I did it, and now whilst I'm captain, I still do it. And I'm now turning 30 in about 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm probably still going to do it through my 30s. So, the tactical nous and that sort of out the box thinking is probably what I think as a captain has been over the years my main assets.
Absolutely. And we can see that in your performance and your team's performance, how you work on your setbacks and you come back stronger in each game. So since you really love tactics and that part of cricket, would we ever see you as probably a coach once you retire? Is there a possibility?
Yeah, I'd hope to think there is a possibility. I'd hope to say that in whichever form it is, whether you're doing a coaching job or you're doing a consultancy type job, there's so many doors open these days in cricket because there are so many different teams, there's so many different franchisees across the world, and it seems to be the case that more and more coaching jobs are these days on a consultancy basis. So those jobs obviously require a specific skill, and teams, professional sides across the world all are looking for something, whether it's maybe conditions dependent or maybe it's specific skill dependent, like middle overs batting as opposed to just batting in general. Guys have become a lot more professional. I think the advent of the IPL obviously brought this about. It brought the game to a new level of just perfection and statistical nous. I'd like to say that I think I'll stay in the game after cricket, purely because I love it so much, as I said earlier.
The associate cricket fans would be loving this news right now, that they'll get to see you in cricket throughout your life. And what can you not do? You can bat, you can bowl, you can wicket keep. So there's so many possibilities for you to stay in touch with this game even after you retire as a player. And talking about Namibian national team, Namibia has been making strides in international cricket right now. What are your goals for the national team in the coming years?
For us, obviously the most important thing for any of the associate countries continues to be the 50 over format, trying to stay in World Cricket League Division 2 and keeping that funding. There's no other way to say it honestly is that there's a big gap in funding between the different leagues in the world, and associate cricket is always as the main resource that's lacking is not necessarily players in some countries. It's more funding and resources in terms of infrastructure that need funding. So that'll always be the main objective. It'll be 50 overs and trying to win ODI games. And then obviously, secondly, we've also got the T20 World Cup that you look at as a player, that's very enjoyable, because you play against all the best countries in the world, against the best players, in the world stage event. So T20 World Cup qualifier we have in September as well. Yeah, that's the immediate future that I can think of.
Yes, and I'm sure Namibia is going to do great in September as well. So you've played with so many international cricketers so far in your career. So who do you think is the best player you've ever played with so far?
Oh, that's a tough question. For me, it's probably someone. I'll I'll have to step out of the ordinary and go for someone like a James Vince. He probably doesn't get that much credit across the world because he's perhaps not in the IPL. He hasn't featured because his batting style is a little bit more, as I play, a little bit more constructive and of stroke making nature as opposed to bludgeoning and six hitting that we tend to see the IPL teams by. The Spire Eaters. Yeah, outside name would be James Vince. I think he's a phenomenal player, and the way he also captains the side at Golf Giants over the seasons has been very cool for me to follow. He's about much more calm than I am on the field, and he's a much more laid back type of captain than I am. So to have learned that side of it as well is also awesome to see. So yeah, both his captaincy and batting skill, at least he's definitely up there as one of the guys I've learned a lot from, who I've played with.
Very underrated player. Maybe we should have him as one of our guests in the future.
Yeah, I'll ask him for you.
So how is it like playing outside Namibia? I know you mentioned the Gulf Giants, so I want to know your experience playing in T10 cricket and T20 cricket, because you've played both formats and you've played in North America, you've played in Canada, you've played in UAE, you've played in Nepal. So what's the big difference?
Well, every tournament's so different. Every tournament's conditions. Firstly, cricket is very condition dependent. A tournament in Canada versus a tournament in Nepal is like a massive change from each other. Yeah, I tend to try and adapt as quickly as possible when you get there and try and adapt into a role that you can best suit for the team. But it sometimes just doesn't happen, and sometimes it comes off very nicely for you. So the bowling role, for example, in the Nepal tournament, I didn't expect to, be bowling so many spin overs in the power play because of previous to they had been so high scoring. But some of the morning games, the ball really spun quite a bit. So really enjoyed playing a bowling role in that tournament. And in another one in Dubai, for example, when the team needed, I had to keep wicket. So, yeah, it chops and it changes, and that's what you get paid to do. You get paid to deliver your best skills. Just this year in Golf Giants team, I had to bat in 3 or 4 different roles. I had to bat in a finishing role, middle over number 4 role, and ended up as an opener in the last 2 games. You got to do what the team needs, and you got to do what conditions depend on, and that's sometimes the challenge between all the different leagues where you go play.
Gerard, is there anything you can't do in cricket? You can play the end overs, middle overs. You can open the top order. So you're just an all-rounder cricketer, and that's a big asset for Cricket Namibia to have a captain that can just play different roles and adapt to the situation. So how do you prepare mentally for high-pressure situations? Because you have all that pressure, because you have to bowl, you have to bat, you need to wicket keep, and you also have to lead your team. So how do you maintain the high-pressure situations?
I think it always just comes down to what you do before the game. It's not really for me as much in the game what you do. I think if you're going into the game with like good clarity in your mind, good simple plans in your mind, then you tend to deliver your skills under pressure a lot better. So it's a bit more about your preparation as opposed to exactly what you do in the game. I mean, in the game, lots of the psychologists and so will tell you that there's breathing techniques. Yeah, there's all sorts of maybe routine type of thing you can do while under pressure. And there's a big stadium full of fans maybe cheering. But I think those types of things you do a lot easier if you've prepared and you've prepared hard under pressure. You've put your body through a lot of work. You've put your mentality through a lot of work. As soon as you start realizing how important that preparation is and how important it is to understand yourself as a human, you just tend to understand that cricket is also just, one bit of your life, and there's all life to live outside of cricket, and you start realizing you have a bit more of a better relationship with results. Yeah, I used to struggle a little bit with that. My mood would be a lot dependent on how my results have gone in cricket, how many runs I scored the previous day, and um, you know, your worth, your self-worth, your self-esteem would be a lot of dependent on, did I get runs recently, or did I get wickets recently, or am I in bad form? Then your self-worth would go down. But I think once you get to that a sort of experience stage of your career where you can say, well, that's not entirely the truth. The truth is that you're a good or a bad human being for setting up your values in life and living according to them, and that cricket is just a part of it. Then I think you tend to get like a lot more of a realistic idea about what pressure actually is.
Mm-hmm. And you can't just put a lot of pressure on yourself that you already have external pressure. The internal pressure on top of that would just make things worse. So always
Yeah.
have to make sure you're a better human being and then just work on your form. It's going to get better. I also want to ask you, what's the huge difference that you found between playing a T10 format and a T20 format? Is the pressure any different?
I think that there is probably a bit of a rush in the T10 format. It's obviously even more of a hit or miss situation than the T10 format, than the T20 format. But in saying that, I found that in the T10 game, the amount of time you actually have to gather a little bit of information is still there, and it will always be that case. I think if you play a 5 over game, a rain delayed 5 over game, there'll still be a scope for assessing what's happening in front of you. So there's always scope for trying to see what's the information that I need to take in as a smart cricketer, as a batsman, what's the batsmanship decisions that you have to make on that spot at the moment. And then you just have to go according to that information. The difference just is obviously that you have less events, so you have less balls. So you got to try and make a play a little bit quicker, and you got to be a little bit more sharp in your execution because, yeah, 1 or 2 balls in the T10 game is a lot more impactful than 1 or 2 balls you can maybe buy your time in a 50 over game.
Absolutely. So the shorter the format, the more pressure you have, basically.
Yeah, I guess so because the impact on the impact or the consequence of every event, every ball, is a little bit higher.
And I wanted to know, so I know you're very involved in cricket since a young age and you've been leading your team, but outside of cricket, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies?
Pretty much like to be outdoors, like to go to the farm. We have a cricket field on the farm where I try and work on the field a little bit to get it in better shape. We live in a desert country, so it's not the easiest to keep a growing grassy outfield. Yeah, I like to be amongst like the wild animals. I guess just outdoor stuff. Recently started playing a little bit of paddle tennis type of things, and a little bit of golf. But I don't really try and frustrate myself too much by playing 10 rounds of golf a year. More for 4 or 5 rounds of golf per year type of guy.
So maybe your cricketing skills can help you with the golf swings as well, with the
Yeah, lots of the guys try and yeah, it's obviously about more keeping a clear mind. So trying to have hobbies outside of cricket that can really get your mind off of cricket for a bit. I think golf is a cool one because it really just probably keeps you a little bit loose in that swing. And lots of the T20 players especially play a lot of golf.
so I bet that helps with the swings because a lot of T20 players played, like you said. So
Yeah.
these sports also help you keep fit during off season if you're not playing cricket. Like these can help you just stay more active. But talking about fitness, how do you maintain your fitness? Because you play so many different domestic leagues, international games. So what are your favorite drills or exercises that you do?
I think whenever I get asked a question about fitness, I think it's for me, it's more just a all-round type of answer. I think all-round habits, so just like nutritional habits, just ticking over, getting to the gym about five times a week. Try and balance it out between whether that's one cardio session, one core fitness session, one gymming session with heavier weights, one plyometric session where you explode a little bit, and maybe one, I don't know if I've mentioned core or stretching session. So I try and just go around like 5 or 6 of those pillars and try and just keep a all around good and fit body. I don't really have 1 or 2 specific drills that I always do. I think it's more about a wellness thing as opposed to a fitness thing for me.
The reason I'm asking you this is because we have a lot of young aspiring cricketers who will be watching our videos, and I want to share with them what professional cricketers do so that they can implement and be inspired to maintain their fitness, because fitness is a big part of your game.
Yeah, definitely is. And if I can answer that question a bit more clearly for you, I think um, the cricket has gone to such a next level of speed and of athleticism the last couple of decades where none of the fielders in the world are bad fielders anymore. You can't like hide them away. Lots of the cricketers are all-rounders, so they have a lot of loads on their body where they bat and bowl and field. And the best cricketers in the world are generally all-rounders these days. The ones that are the highest paid cricketers in the IPL, mostly are all-rounders. So I think it's a great, maybe aim or goal for any young cricketer to have, is to try and be three-dimensional and provide at least the two or three skills for their captain or for their coach. That being batting, bowling, fielding. A fourth and a fifth skill could be leadership and captaincy, so tactical. So that's what I try and do, is be well-rounded in all five of those departments and provide a lot for the teams that I play for. And in doing and in having five jobs, you need to be very fit. But as I said earlier, it all comes down to what you do in your off time, what you do on a daily basis, on a habitual basis, as opposed to what you do once off every now and again. So it's more about, nutrition wise, maybe, just habitually cutting off sugars, drinking more water, trying to get in good proteins, staying away from processed food. So just those little bit of life hacks could take you a long way already. And then once you get into a little bit more of like a professional setup, there'll mostly be staff and members that can help you maybe gain muscle in a certain area to complement your skills that you have. But I think as a starting point for kids, I always just say, let's just get the small steps right first. And that is, let's have less sugars. Let's eat less processed food. Let's get good wholesome food in, good wholesome, like good sleep, good water intake. And then you've already nailed a couple of the fitness things that you can at your age.
Absolutely. We have to take baby steps, cut out sugars, cut out the processed food. So it's baby steps, but it's definitely doable. And the better your nutrition is, the better you perform and the healthier your body gets. So to people who are watching this, you heard it from Erasmus. Please maintain a healthy lifestyle, healthy diet. That will definitely help you improve your game and your fitness. If you had to choose between batting, bowling, fielding, or wicket keeping, what would you say would be the thing you enjoy the most?
It's very close, I think. Weirdly enough, for a team's perspective, I'd like to say fielding, because it's one of those skills that it doesn't get a lot of credit, and like it can have a big impact without actually people knowing it. So not only the big run-outs and maybe the great catch or two, but just lots of those scrappy singles you save, lots of the confusion and pressure that you can create in the middle is one of those skills that's a little bit, it's not celebrated enough.
And that's one way you can show athleticism too, with this cool catches. You also have international record for T20 for the second most catches in the innings, correct?
Yeah, I think it was 5 catches for an outfielder. So yeah, it's a nice record to have. It wasn't the most difficult of catches. They were all just easy ones. But yeah, those moments, you really remember them fondly, especially if you've turned a game with one of the catches or run out, as I said earlier. Then it's almost like adding 10 or 15 runs to your score when you bat.
So you save all those extra runs that you would have given away otherwise. When you first started playing cricket, can you tell us what position you started? Did you start as a bowler, or did you start playing as a batsman? So how did that start when you were younger?
I think when you're just learning the game, you should try a little bit at everything. It's so good to also play other sporting codes and try and develop your whole body in a more holistic way, and try and get all sorts of skills and motor connections going from a young age. So yeah, I really enjoyed batting from the get-go, but as I got older, I sort of understood more of the all-round game, and I think being a batter allowed me to know like what batters are thinking, and then I started learning to bowl a little bit later, and at really the age of 22 or so, I started to bowl as like a first choice bowler.
Only when you were 22?
Yeah,
Because your bowling skills are so good. Like, it looks like you've been practicing since you were like a teenager.
No, I bowled a little bit through my younger years, but I had some back injuries from bowling like really fast leg spin, and then later on, I just decided to maybe keep as a part-time keeper, and that didn't, I was never really a good enough keeper to make it as an out-and-out keeper, so I wouldn't say I was always looking to pursue that from a young age, but did it for about 3 or 4 years just to be a backup for the team. And then, ended up learning all the skills of cricket through those young ages. But now I'm happy where I am to just bowl and bat wherever I'm needed. And then obviously the fielding has always come naturally for me because I'm athletic, as you say.
And do you think it plays to your advantage since you bat and you bowl? So as a batsman, you can read the bowler better. And then when you bowl, you can read the batsman better because you do both.
Yeah, definitely. So I think all rounders, they get those instincts of where to bowl and where to not because you're batting so much. So yeah, I definitely think that's one of the reasons why at a young age kids should try and bowl, bat, or keep, try and do all the skills of cricket, and their understanding of cricket goes up so much quicker.
Do you think there is a particular coach in your career so far that has helped you shape your cricketing skills, that has helped you sharpen them?
No, I think most of our coaches through the years, they've all had their part to play. I've been with from a young age at 13 or so. My fellow cricketer, Craig Williams, who also played 10 years of cricket with me. He was the guy that was my first sort of higher performance coach at under 13 level. And then from then on in, it was really just between all the national coaches that we had, they all had their part to play. So I don't really have a specific coach, but if there were to be a mentor, it'd probably be my dad, who introduced me at a young age and then just stayed like a mentor through all the years, and most of my success is thanks to him.
And does your dad still look at your performance and give you suggestions? Even now that you're 29, does he still give you suggestions and help you do better in your game?
I think he asks some questions. I don't think he doesn't necessarily tell me what to do anymore. He just say the usual stuff of like try and bat longer or concentrate for longer. So just like a good mentor would, he would just try and keep me on the path. But I think he's learned that the skill side of the game, I've probably had like more experiences and more high level people that I've spoken to over the years. So I probably have like the knowledge of the game that I have to have. The off-field knowledge is something that you'll never, I guess, have more than any of your elders or your mentors. I try and ask him lots of the off-field questions. Yeah.
So since growing up, you had a lot of these coaches that shaped you and gave you suggestions to improve your game. Do you have any suggestions for upcoming cricketers who are aspiring to play international level cricket like you?
I think it's building blocks. I think you need to form a very strong foundation. So technically, form a strong foundation from a young age, as well as tactically, like watch and listen, learn, try and read a lot of cricket at a young age so that you're really sharpened up to what the modern game needs. And then also from a physical point of view, try and form a big base where your athleticism and your injury prevention from your body's point of view is covered. And then as you get older, from the ages of 14, 15, 16, that's when your skill development would really, take new shape. I think you should try and delay for as long as possible in going into only one skill. You should try and push all of your skills and probably only professionalize or like, try and use one specific skill like fast bowling or make those decisions only when you're about 16 or 18. The reason just being that men tend to grow, a little bit longer. So for your biomechanics and your biology to give you the best chance of performing at the highest level one day, you need to give that chance to first grow itself out and form that natural path.
Absolutely. And in order to utilize your biomechanics and to gain those fundamental skills, we at iCaptain strongly believe that a strong foundation must be laid from a young age. They must go to a good cricketing center and get professional skills from a young age in order to build up on their skills as they grow older and as they develop into a higher level cricket.
Yeah, definitely. It's awesome to see the amount of academies and stuff popping up across the US. It's obviously also been the case only recently in Namibia. We've only used to have like 1 or 2 academies, and now in the capital itself, there's already 5. So the growing interest for youngsters is very heartwarming to see that have grown since our team has done really well.
And the beauty of it, it's not just the traditional cricketing nations, even in associate nations, more and more people are showing interest in cricket. And since associate level cricket is growing and booming, more and more people are supporting it. So the growth of associate level cricket has just been tremendous. What do you have to say about the future of associate cricket from now?
Yeah, I think associate cricket has long been, knocking on the door of the bigger countries. We're always chanting out there for more resources and stuff and for more games. I think the T20 World Cup has obviously brought that, it's made it an easier path for the ICC to expose us to the test playing nations. And I think it's probably the path that they'll follow. But as an associate country, you just need to continuously put in the performances that the likes of Afghanistan and those teams and Ireland have over the years. They really close the gap to the bigger nations, and they knock that door down to become one of the test nations. So yes, you can now consider as many opportunities as you want, but you really got to show it from your side as well, and that only being in terms of results. So yeah, I think playing in the World Cricket League Division 2 where we are now, it's sometimes disheartening to see like lots of the conditions being poor for batting and the games being very low scoring games. Recently we played in Oman that was, we nearly defended 98 or something. And as an associate, outlier there, I really like games to be high quality, professionalism. And as a cricketer, you want to be playing against the best nations one day. You also want to be competing against them at the World Cups. And I don't really think conditions like that help you out much. So sometimes the associate nations ourselves, we don't really help ourselves, if I can be brutally honest on this show. But in another sense, it has been many a years that we've knocked on the door to get more and more opportunities, and the ICC have to an extent have allowed us in.
For sure. And there's so much growth for improvement still in associate level cricket, which hopefully we get to see more and more associate cricket on international tournaments, in the World Cup, more and more associate nations, hopefully. All the best to you for your qualification for next year. So you're playing games in September in Namibia, the qualifiers. So good luck to your team, and thank you so much for your time. It was an amazing experience talking to you about your cricketing journey.
Thank you so much, and thank you for hosting me. Cheers.
That was our conversation with the Namibia men's cricket team captain, Gerhard Erasmus. If you want more videos like these, keep following and supporting iCaptain Media, and please let us know who would you like to see in our next episodes in the comments below.